I don't want to take up too much of your time, so we will get this party started. Thank you all so much for joining for tonight's Revive the Dream Institute informational webinar. Over the course of the next 30 or so minutes, we will be discussing Revive the Dream and the fellowship's components, a little bit about the history of the fellowship, and also provide an opportunity for you to ask questions about the program. So before we get started, I just wanted to give a little bit of an introduction to myself. My name is Laura Patterson, and for this upcoming year, I will be the program manager for Revive the Dream. Over the course of the past year, I co-program managed with two lovely individuals, one of whom is in the education space and one of whom is sort of adjacent. And it was a great experience. And so I'm really thrilled to be ushering in this new cohort. Prior to program managing for the 2018-2019 cohort, I was a participant in the 2017-2018 program. And so that was a really wonderful experience where I got to know a host of people from all different walks of life from across the city, all of whom were really excited about our mandate of learning about the education space and what it means to be an education catalyst for change. So I am going to quickly, okay, perfect. All right, sorry, I just wanted to do a quick meeting. And before we dive into the presentation more, I just wanted to give a brief introduction to the Revive the Dream leadership team. Revive the Dream was founded by Mike Roscom, and we'll go a little bit into the history of the program in a minute. But over the course of the past few years, Mike and Sarah have really ushered it, or have really created something beautiful. Over time, we've had a number of fellows who have gone on to do some really amazing things in the education space, and they've learned a lot more about the space as a result of their participation in this program and the stewardship of the two founders of the program. To give you a sense of who Mike and Sarah are, both are former Broad resident fellows, hi. Over the course of the past 10 or so years, they've acquired a lot of expertise and experience in the education field. Mike is currently a regional superintendent at Achievement First, which, if you're not familiar, is a charter school network that has schools across the country. And Sarah Roscom is the principal and founder of Hendy Avenue Consulting, which is a consulting firm that works with districts across the country to help them figure out their professional development plans and do other systems, work towards other systems change within their local contexts. So I've given you a bit of background on them. I should take a second to step back and give you a bit more of my background. So as I mentioned, I'm Laura. I currently work at an educational technology company called Teachers Pay Teachers, and I'm doing Revive the Dream Institute on the side. Over the course of my career, I've worn a number of different hats in different sorts of organizations in the education sector. I started my career at Scholastic, where I worked in corporate research and did some corporate social responsibility work. And then I moved on to the New York City Department of Education and worked on the strategic planning team there, as well as with their Office of Innovation and Educational Technology before transitioning to Teachers Pay Teachers, where I am currently. And so I share that experience with you to say that the the leaders of this program have deep knowledge, but we're also very comfortable with the fact that we don't know everything. And that's part of the reason why this fellowship program is great, because this fellowship is really an opportunity for you to ask more questions about the education space, and learn from people who do have some industry experience, and hear from speakers that have deeper industry experience, and also to learn from your peers. All right, so I'm going to quickly walk through the agenda. So we will start off with a little bit more information on Revive the Dream's background. We'll discuss the opportunity that comes along with participation in the Revive the Dream Institute Fellowship. And then lastly, we'll talk about the Revive the Dream Institute community. Before we dive in any more deeply, I will say that if you have any questions along the way, feel free to message through the chat box or unmute yourself and ask. I am very happy to have this be a conversation, and really want to take this opportunity really want to take this opportunity to make sure that all of your questions are answered, so that by the time you fill out the application, if you choose to apply, you feel prepared to do so. All right, so our background. We're going to go a little bit into the Revive the Dream story. So first, we're going to start off by talking about the mission of the organization. Back when Revive the Dream was founded, Mike saw a need. He saw a need for more conversation and connection among people who could really, impact the education space. He also saw a need for us as a country to revisit the American dream. The organization's mission is quite simple. It is to revive the American dream for underserved children. In so doing, we recruit emerging community leaders and develop them into education reform catalysts to improve the life prospects of millions of underserved American children. So through our mission, we recognize that children across the country are not receiving equal and equitable educations. And we know that we as a country can and should be doing better. And so we decided, or Mike and Sarah have created this fellowship program as a means through which emerging community leaders could really receive training, regardless of their backgrounds and experience in the education space, to learn about the education space in meaningful ways, and also to build deep connections with people who are doing the work on the ground and learn how they can participate in broader education, advocacy, and policy initiatives. So on the slide, we go a bit into the timeline of Revive the Dream. The Institute was founded in 2011 in Chicago, and there was a relatively smaller cohort. So I believe it launched with under 20 fellows in that inaugural year. In 2014, the program moved over to New York City, where we launched a chapter that had, I believe, 30 fellows. And by 2019, we've had close to 200 fellows who've participated in the Revive the Dream Institute. And as I mentioned, we really are looking for people of all different types of backgrounds with all different sorts of work experience. And so we've had people participate from the worlds of finance and the nonprofit sector, to media, fashion, and we have had a number of people in the education space. And we found that having that diversity in our fellowship program really lends itself well to deeper conversation and truly meaningful learning experiences, where people can, hear from people who have different visibility into the education space. So our goal is fairly clear in our mission, but we aim to bring together a diverse group of professionals to deepen knowledge on key education issues, create a network of education leaders, and ultimately make an impact on educational outcomes for underserved students. And so our goal and our mission are quite audacious. Over the years, we've been able to refine our program. And hopefully over the course of the 2019-2020 year, we'll take more steps towards all three of these goals. And by the end of your participation in the fellowship, we hope that you feel like, or you will feel like, you have a deep knowledge about key educational topics, that you feel really truly connected to members of your cohort and members of the Revive the Dream Institute alumni community, and that you feel equipped to make a change in some way. And it could be by changing your career. We've had someone this past year who was really interested in getting into the fundraising space, and he took this the fellowship as an opportunity to learn more about what it means to raise money for education programs. It could be that you learn more about an organization with whom you want to volunteer your time. It could be a suite of things, and so we're really excited to explore those different opportunities with you. All right, so speaking of opportunities, really the purpose of this fellowship is to create an avenue for you to explore education policy and practice. So this is a photo from one of our sessions. We like our sessions to be highly interactive, and so you can see that the speaker at the back of the image is leading a conversation around their topic, and we do a lot of breakouts, a lot of small group work, so that the discussion piece is really prevalent and prominent in each of our sessions. And so at the highest level, we explore American education challenges and emerging solutions. And we do that by situating a lot of our context in New York City. And so we have many, many more millions of students across the country. But here within our own backyard, we have over 1.1 million students in our public school system. We have 18,000 schools, of which 18,000 schools that are both traditional public and public charter schools. We have even more private and parochial schools. And our aim is to bring together approximately 30 fellows to learn about and transform education in New York City. But ultimately, we also want you to think about your impact on the broader national stage as well. So what's our model? Our model is first and foremost centered around a monthly workshop. Fellows meet once a month for an evening workshop. We typically start at about 6:30 and go until 8:30 or 9. And we typically discuss a specific topic with domain experts. Prior to each meeting, fellows complete pre-readings to immerse themselves in the topics before engaging with the outside presenters. And so we've talked about a diverse array of topics. We've talked about things like school choice. We've, over the course of the past few years, we've had some really rich conversations about desegregation efforts in New York City, and have been able to extrapolate findings from our conversations around desegregation to the national scale. Our speakers, the speakers that we've had around desegregation have been exceptionally powerful. We've had some high school students who are living it come in to speak to us about their experience. We've heard about school finance, and so we have brought in leaders from organizations that are working towards school finance reform, and learned about the school budgeting process and ways in which different districts and states are thinking about funding schools. We've talked about teacher assessment, the special education programming, the Common Core, which has been a hot button topic for at least the past 5 years. And just thinking about this idea of having national standards for every student in America. What does that really mean? We've talked about advocacy and organizing and many more. So I'll pause here to say that we've had a great variety of workshops over the course of the past few years that have been tremendously exciting. We oft, our aim is to look to the members of the cohort to really inform the direction of the workshops that we put on. And so we take a lot of care with the fellows who are accepted in the program to understand their desires around learning about different types of topics. And so it's a really great opportunity for you to tailor your learning about the education space and really make it meet your needs. So this is a short list of past speakers. We've had some incredible names come in through the Revive the Dream program, including Dan Weisberg, who is the CEO of the New Teacher Project. We've had Josh Wallach, who I believe at this point is an assistant chancellor at the New York City Department of Education. We've had Darrell Bradford, EVP of 50 CAN, which is a national organizing body for teachers. We've had speakers from all sorts of nonprofits, all sorts of schools, and all sorts of foundations and for-profit institutions that are contributing to the greater conversation about education. So in addition to our monthly working sessions, we provide an opportunity to learn in the field. And so through our learning in the field model, fellows partner with organizations in the education space to complete volunteer work over the course of about 6 months. And so past fellows have developed business plans, created new data systems, mentored students, and so much more. And this learning in the field piece is pretty critical to our program, but our goal is to help mold that experience to what you can accommodate. And so we know that fellows have different commitments and have different amounts of time they can allocate to the volunteer experience. And so we intend to work with you pretty closely to figure out how to best serve an organization that you'd like to work with. Lastly, the last piece I'll say about our model is that we are nothing if not an organization dedicated to experimentation and iteration. And so this year we'll be doing some strategic planning on the future of the program, to be completely candid, and we'll be trying a bunch of new things, which is super exciting for the participants in the cohort. It's exciting for a number of reasons. If you participate in the cohort this year, we'll be trying new ways to leverage technology as a means of providing opportunities for discussion about the topics. And we're just going to be going, I think, I wanted to use the term zany. We're not going zany, but we will be taking this year as an opportunity to make sure that we are really equipping our cohort to feel capable and competent in their new role as a catalyst for change in the education space. And so we've learned a lot over the past few years. And I think we've developed a program that really sings. And over the course of the year, we'll just be continuing to take findings from especially the past year or two to make sure that the program is really one in which you feel like you can thrive. So let's talk a little bit about our community, the Revive the Dream cohort experience. So I wanted to kick this section off with big number, 96%, and that number, I believe, climbed over the course of the past year. Fellows and alumni would recommend to Revive the Dream. That's super exciting. We've learned a lot over the years, and we believe that, as I mentioned, we're only getting better and better with time. And so right now is a great opportunity for you to come aboard. And we've had some pretty great praise for the program in the past. So who we're looking for? Well, we're looking for a diverse group of professionals from different fields. You don't need a background in education. We're looking for very open-minded and passionate individuals. And we're also looking for a willingness to commit to the program. And that will entail approximately 4 hours per month. One of the things I will note is the duration of the program. We intend to kick off the next cohort in October. And so we will have one meeting a month from October through May or June. We'll host that meeting on the same day of the month every month. And so it will be something along the lines of the third Thursday of the month. So you can plan accordingly. And in addition to the time that you'll be dedicating to the pre-work and any outside of session discussion and the session itself, we'll also, as time goes on, have this opportunity for you to volunteer. So that might require a greater time commitment, and a few new things that we want to experiment will require some volunteer support. So we will have opportunities for you to volunteer with the program, to bring some new smaller initiatives to life. So the commitment. We don't ask for too much. We just ask for you to be flexible, be prepared to share and learn, and be prepared to bring your whole self to the fellowship. We want to learn from each and every one of the fellows, and we think that the most dynamic conversation helps when people are their authentic selves. In addition to the 3 bullets on the slide, I will say that we want you to be super excited about the work that we're setting out to do. A lot of the work is learning, which is great. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure that you feel like you're walking away, really well situated to take on more work after you leave the cohort. And that can be through a diverse array of activities, but we want to make sure that you feel as well poised as possible to make a change in the education space. And so we are about to close out the presentation part of the conversation. I will say that in order to apply, we'd like you to complete the application. So we have the bit.ly here. It's bit.ly/RTD app 19. And the link is case sensitive, so it's capital RTDA. We ask that you complete the application by our priority deadline if possible, which is July 15th. And completing the application by that deadline will allow us the ability to really start the work of catering the program to the needs and wants of the cohort that we select. And we will notify all accepted applicants in early August. If you can't make the priority deadline, we will have another deadline in August. And so you can feel free to email me for more details. So with that, I wanted to say thank you and open the floor to any questions. Before I do that, I will say that you can also find us online at rtdinstitute.org, or you can send us an email at rtdinstitute@gmail.com. Thanks. So any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
What if you already are very clear about how you want to impact the education space. I'm a 30-year teaching veteran, and I'm creating a program to address early literacy issues, mostly that affect the underserved communities that you're targeting. Am I someone who would qualify or who should apply to Revive the Dream? I'm just a little concerned that I might be already too specific in my interests.
Definitely. To that, I would say, first off, thanks for the question. I think it's a great one. I think that it will definitely be a program that's worth your time, provided that you are interested in exploring different educational topics. I think that having a bent going into this program or a specific area of focus will, I think, help you go into every conversation knowing like exactly what you want to get out of it. And so if you're developing a program that supports underserved children, it could be that if we have a session around advocacy, you might learn something about how teachers are organizing on the ground. That could be a lesson for you and thinking about how you could reach teachers. Or similarly, if we're talking about school segregation or school choice, it could be that a light bulb goes off as we have those conversations. I will also say that given your experience, I think that you could offer a lot to the cohort itself. And so we really want Revive the Dream to be an avenue. Sorry, I keep hopping to the credits page. To be an avenue through which, every member of the cohort is really learning from the other members of the cohort. And so to the extent to which you can share your knowledge with your peers, and to the extent to which your peers can offer up, potentially useful feedback on your idea, I think that that's really important. And so I think that it's great in that it'll provide you with deeper context into things at the periphery of your idea, but also you'll have this cohort experience where you can learn a lot from the other members of the fellowship.
All right, that's helpful. The past workshop topics seemed very, very helpful. So, okay, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Does anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, hi Laura, thanks for your time. I just have a quick one. Are there any restrictions as to like citizenship or like permanent residency? Because I see that like you have a mix of, you have had international like not necessarily people who are American citizens. Yeah.
Definitely. Thanks for your question, Rebecca. I would say yes, we are. So the program is hyper-focused on the American education system, but we are open to people with a wide range of residencies and citizenship affiliations and that sort of thing. And so, yeah, as long as you are interested in learning about the education space, there's a home for you in this program.
Okay, thanks for that.
Thank you. All right, does anyone else have any questions? All right. Well, thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you have any.
I think there's a question on the chat.
Oh, okay. Can you ask it? I've lost my chat window.
Okay. Kelsey, are there specific follow-up projects that have come out of this cohort, or does that mostly result from volunteer experiences?
That's a great question. I think it mostly at this point has resulted from volunteer placements, but I will say that that is one thing that I'm hyper-focused on for this year. I want to make sure that at the end of the fellowship, to the extent to which I can, that everyone walks away with some sort of action plan towards their next steps. And it could be that you're teaming up with other members of the cohort. It could be that you are, coming up with a plan yourself. But I want to make sure that people walk away feeling as if they know exactly what they want to do in the education space next. All right. Okay, I see. Perfect. Thanks for the question, Kelsey. All right, does anyone else have any questions? Great. Well, thank you all so much for your time. I really appreciate it. If you have any additional questions, as I mentioned, please reach out at rtdinstitute@gmail.com or find us on the web at rtdinstitute.org. I am super thrilled about this year's program because I think we are going to have a great time over the course of the past year, and thinking back to the community part of it. Oftentimes over the course of the past year, we've had different members of the program meet up afterwards at a local bar to talk about the topic of the evening, and get to know each other on a deeper level. And I'm committed to making sure that everyone in this cohort feels like a true member of the cohort, and that we have a sense of community while also doing the work of starting to make change. So thank you all so much. All right. Have a good night.
Happy 4th.
Yeah, you too. Bye. Have a good night.
Good night.